It started as something so small, you'd almost forget it even happened. Just a rustle in the trees during my evening run. I live on the far edge of town, one of those quiet wooded suburbs where the streets just end and the forest begins. Right behind my house, there's this narrow stretch of woods, not a full forest, but dense enough, and it leads to an old service road. That road runs alongside a big, fenced-off body of water, maybe a mile long. The weird thing is, nobody really knows what it is. It's plastered with no trespassing and government property signs, but if you look it up on any map, it doesn't exist. No name, no label, nothing. We just call it the Reservoir, though I've never been convinced that's what it actually is. It was my go-to route for cross-country training. It was quiet, peaceful, safe. At least, it used to be. Then came the storm. The kind that feels almost biblical. I had my window cracked open just a little because I love the sound of rain. But just as I was drifting off, I heard something else cutting through the downpour, crying. At first, I thought it was just the wind or my mind playing tricks. But then I heard a voice, soft, trembling, and undeniably human. Can you help me? I'm so cold, ... It was coming from directly beneath my bedroom window. My heart leapt into my throat. Adrenaline kicked in, and I didn't even think. I jumped out of bed and ran outside into the storm, barefoot, my heart pounding against my ribs. And that's when I saw her, a woman in a white dress, huddled under my window, soaked to the bone. She looked lost, terrified, but when I got closer and asked if she needed help, she lunged. I don't mean she stumbled, she lunged at me. Her face twisted into something primal, almost feral. I scrambled backward, bracing myself for whatever was coming, but she stopped halfway. She just cocked her head, stared at me, and then sprinted off into the woods. No shoes, no flashlight. She just vanished into the darkness. My dad and I searched everywhere, but she was gone. We locked every door, every window that night. But that wasn't the end. It was only the beginning. About a week later, a local guy named Mark Ellis had his own encounter. Mark's a middle-aged property owner with an old, abandoned shooting range about 15 minutes from the reservoir. It's just this crumbling concrete building that's been rotting since the 80s. He'd had a fight with his wife and went there to cool off for the night. That same storm that flooded my street, it hit even harder out there. He was trying to sleep in the upstairs office, listening to the rain hammering the metal roof, when he heard glass shatter downstairs. Mark grabbed a hunting rifle he kept stashed away and started creeping through the dark corridors, checking every corner. He found a broken window, glass everywhere, but no sign of how it happened. Still, he couldn't shake the feeling that he wasn't alone. Then he heard footsteps, slow, careful, moving right beneath him. He yelled out, and the noise just stopped. He spent the rest of the night pacing, checking rooms, trying to convince himself he wasn't losing his mind. And then came a new sound, dragging, like heavy furniture scraping across the concrete floor. He went down to check again, but nothing had moved an inch, but that's when he felt it. This cold, crawling terror, like the building itself, was alive and breathing. Something was watching him from the shadows. He didn't wait. He bolted out into the storm and drove home, not daring to even glance in his rearview mirror. He didn't tell a soul what happened, not until a week later. 3 Fridays ago, the storm rolled in again. A guy named Jason and his drunk friend, Leo, were driving home from a party. Jason pulled over in the middle of nowhere to take a leak, and Leo stumbled out to be sick. That's when Leo saw what he thought was Jason walking into the nearby cornfield. He called out and followed him, but when the figure turned around, it wasn't Jason. Leo panicked and sprinted back to the car, screaming at Jason to just drive. They peeled out, but half a mile down the road, one of their tires blew. They pulled over to find a screwdriver jammed clean through the side wall. As they were struggling to change the tire in the dark, a woman screamed somewhere in the trees. It was this long, sharp, inhuman sound. Leo wanted to go back and check, but Jason refused. They got the spare on and got the hell out of there. When the police searched the area the next day, they found nothing. No body, no footprints, not even the flat tire Jason had left behind on the side of the road. I didn't know any of these people. But a few days after the roadside story popped up on a local forum, I saw the pictures attached to the post. One of them made my blood run cold. It was a blurry dashcam photo showing a figure by the cornfield, a woman barefoot in a soaked white dress. The same woman who had stood beneath my window. I reached out to the poster, Jason. We met up at a diner, and he brought Mark, the guy from the concrete building who had seen the same woman near his property just 2 nights before. Suddenly, all the pieces started to click into place. Mark's shooting range was less than 2 miles from the reservoir. And according to some old county records he'd dug up, that building had once been part of a water treatment facility. It was shut down in 1993 after some kind of accident, but there was no official record of what that accident actually was. The 3 of us decided we had to investigate. I know it was reckless, but the need for answers was stronger than our fear. We met at the edge of the woods just after sunset, armed with flashlights and cameras. The barbed wire fence around the reservoir looked impossible to get through 10 feet high, topped with razor wire, no gaps. But as we searched the perimeter, we found something completely unexpected, a drainage tunnel, half hidden by overgrown weeds. It was just big enough to crawl through. The air inside stank of iron and stagnant water. The tunnel sloped down, and our footsteps echoed with distant dripping sounds. After about 50 feet, it opened into a massive concrete chamber. Judging by the rusted equipment and broken pipes, it had to be part of the old facility, and then we saw it. In the center of the room, standing knee-deep in dark, oily water, was the woman in white. Her back was to us, her wet hair hanging down like rope. Mark whispered something, maybe her name, though none of us even knew it, and she turned. Her eyes were gone. Just black, empty sockets, dripping with the same dark water she was standing in. She smiled, a slow, chilling smile. "You heard me," she whispered. "You came back." Jason screamed first. In that same instant, our flashlights flickered and died, plunging us into total darkness. I felt something ice-cold wrap around my ankle and pull. The water closed over my head. I remember muffled screams, the taste of choking water, and a flash of white fabric drifting above me in the dark. When I came to, I was lying on the side of the road near my running trail. I was alone, soaked to the bone. My phone was gone. My shoes were gone. Behind me, the reservoir fence stood tall and untouched. The police never found any sign of Jason or Mark. They were just gone. It's been 3 weeks. I haven't slept more than an hour at a time. Every night, I hear it again. Movement outside my window, not crying anymore. Just footsteps dragging slowly through the wet grass. And sometimes, in the quiet moments just before dawn, I hear her whisper, "You shouldn't have come back." I don't know who she was. I don't know what that reservoir really hides. But I think whatever was buried there was never meant to be found. And now I think it's found me. Thanks for listening to my story. If you want to hear more strange tales, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Stay safe out there.